You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming, Sunny Mountains, we're the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Arches. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up. And let's go! Let's dial right back into that horror, shall we? Let's see what happened to Devon. The wind whips violently in Devon's face. It's powerful enough that he can barely breathe. The ominous sound of the sirens were really the only thing that guaranteed he'd be home as soon as he possibly could be. He always took their warning seriously, because what they warned of always terrified him. So now, in this haze of pain and horror, he wonders why he didn't heed the warnings. The mile-wide tornadoes that rip across the plains of his home state evoke a primal fear in him that few other things do. He felt that fear moments before his world became a red flash of pain. Oh no. Before he saw Artie crumple lifeless to the ground, at the same time a pop echoed through the air. Before he was made to drink from the plastic bottle of water the other bear had brought out of his trailer. Before his paws were tightly bound above his head. As Devon briefly comes to in the red glow of this metal container he's in, with the sound of metal chains and the feeling of cramped heat, he knows he should be doing something. He should be helping someone he deeply cares about. Lupita, Artie, Cameron. His voice is rough, dry, on the verge of breaking. His chest feels as if it's being crushed. Devon sinks back into the darkness, even while his mind roils in terror. Even as the F5 tornado continues to barrel right towards him. Cameron sits at the table as the bear busies himself near the stovetop with his back to the coyote. Again, the coyote contemplates leaving, either by asking Brian again or just by walking out the door. Another glance toward the window confirms Raincoat Monster is still out there, this time standing high in the trees, perched on a branch, still watching. Cameron quickly looks away again. He feels deep down that if he leaves, another terrible thing is going to happen. While he believes the bear's story about what happened, something about this trailer is extremely uncomfortable, making him even more anxious. He thinks that must have something to do with his upbringing, the long, narrow space feeling familiar in the worst of ways. It's like suddenly falling ill, and being reminded of all the awful feelings one has when they're especially sick. Meanwhile, Brian is chattering on about how chamomile is particularly effective when it comes to anxiety, and Cameron vaguely wonders why he's moving around so much if he's just making tea. Mostly, though, Cameron is trying to think clearly, get his thoughts to line up correctly through the fog he still feels clouding his brain. It's making him extremely tired, and a couple of times the coyote is convinced that he's still dreaming. It's almost like he's high again, without any of the positives of being high. His anxiety is already calming down, though, despite the worry that whatever was in the forest might have done some kind of damage to his brain. He focuses his thoughts on Devon, trying to think clearly. Would the bear really leave him alone like this? He could have at least left him a message, to let him know that this is what he wanted, that Cameron is safe in the situation. But Cameron also knows that wouldn't have been all that practical. If Devon was really in a hurry, which he definitely would have been, he would have left him behind if he knew it was for the best, and if he knew the situation was safe. There isn't really a way he could have left a message anyway, except for maybe a text, but with no phone and no service. If this Brian guy really wants to help them, though, he should have gone to the highway instead. He has to have a car, right? It's not like he can just survive out here in an old trailer. Cameron fixes his face into a pleasant smile, knowing that it seemed to set the old bear at ease whenever he did. Do you have a car? Brian, seemingly absorbed in what he's doing, glances back. Well, I kind of share a truck with another guy in town. He happens to be out of town with that truck right now. Of course he would be, right? Okay. Brian smiles at him again. I can see why Daniel likes you. You're a friendly kid. Oh, you mean Devon? Shit, yeah, Brian doesn't remember things like he used to. You're fine. Cameron stares at the table, feeling like that exchange was very strange, but it's hard to think through the cloudiness. Despite the dulled anxiety, the feeling is worrying him more and more. I'm actually feeling really weird. I'm so tired. Well, considering what happened to you, that makes sense. Not to pry, but do you do any drugs? No, not anymore at least. I mean, I had some weed like 3 hours ago, but that should have worn off by now. Brian shrugs. People always say weed ain't a big deal, but it's probably what fucked me up the most back when I first tried it. Cameron listens to the sound of liquid being poured into a cup. Yeah, I don't think I like it. But I shouldn't still be high, right? You shouldn't, but after my first time smoking, I felt high for fucking years after, even when I wasn't touching the stuff. Cameron feels a prickle of worry underneath the haze. Years? Yep, it's what's it called? Depersonalization? Made me feel like my own paws weren't my own, and everything looked all weird and distorted, like a filter was in front of my eyes. Cameron vaguely recalls some of his own friends describing the exact same thing, even when their trip was supposed to be over. He'd experienced it himself, while he was under the influence of various disassociatives. Having the same experience while he's supposed to be sober is borderline terrifying, though. Weed does that? His worrying panic breaks to the surface for a second, and he feels like, for that moment, he surfaced from the muddy depths of his confusion before slipping back under. He can't live in a dream for the rest of his life. What even is his life, sitting here in a trailer with an old, slightly smelly bear? Well, it went away once I stopped thinking about it. How'd he even get here again? Where's Dev? Oh, shit. Cameron suddenly grips the table, paw shaking as he feels as if he's lifting out from his body somehow. That has to hold on to something to remain in place. Hey, you're alright, kid. Here, Brian ambles over to the fridge, opens the freezer, and pulls out the ice tray and drops a few cubes into the mug, the ice clinking loudly. He stirs it for a few moments, and turns back to the trembling coyote. Hope you don't mind the ice, but it should be cool enough to drink now. Still confused and terrified, and just wanting something to do, to focus on, Cameron reaches out for the mug the bear is holding out to him. He takes it in a trembling paw, gulping it down. It's filled with honey and the strong taste of ginger. And it's unlike any chamomile tea he's had before. Don't fucking drink that! The amount of honey is surprising, and he briefly wonders if it's a bear thing, even though Devon never seemed to have much of an affinity for it. Still, Cameron doesn't get the full flavor of the concoction until he's finished it, as he excels an odd, nutty taste mixed with what Cameron can only describe as dirt lingers on the back of his tongue. Cameron frowns at the bizarre, terrible tea. He can't help pulling a face as he looks into the mug, a thick, round glob of honey remaining at the base, while dark particles slowly collect around it. I'm pretty sure he just gave you, like, ketamine or something. It's distracting enough that his panic attack is terminated before it can really begin. Brian laughs. Sorry about that. I'd like to add kava root to soothe anxiety, too. Should have warned you. Cameron had thought the taste was somehow familiar, but he supposes that any kind of root would have an earthy, bitter taste. Oh, it's okay. Just wasn't expecting it. I read about kava a few times when I was looking for ways to help with anxiety. Never tried it, though. Well, get ready for it to change your life. It got me off all my chill pill meds. I do have some leftover bars if you need something stronger, though. Xanax? I'll wait and see. While that would be nice, Cameron already feels like falling asleep, so it doesn't seem like the best idea. While he mostly believes this bear's story, he doesn't want to be completely unaware of what's happening right now. I'm guessing you've had some experience with it before, huh? Cameron frowns at the table, not sure what to say. He doesn't really want to discuss his past with a stranger, even if the guy seemed like he would understand. Brian puts his paws up like he's showing that he's unarmed. Hey, I don't judge, kid. I was into that lifestyle for most of my life before I started turning things around. While Cameron is still cautious, he doesn't want to make it seem like he's suspicious. Doesn't feel like the best idea to sour things between him and the only other person with him in the middle of the desert. Yeah, I did a bit of everything in middle school and high school. Only thing I got hooked on was opioids, though. Oof, you went the half country, kid. That's a rough one. The tiredness is starting to plateau, if not recede slightly, and Cameron feels an odd but welcome sense of empathy towards this bear. Must be the kava kicking in. Brian's face appears a bit more defined and clear, and there's a warmness in his eyes. It's my first drug, too. I experimented with everything else because I was trying to find something less addictive and harmful. Brian shakes his head. That's the problem with it. There ain't much out there that makes you feel that good. That's what I'm told, anyway. Brian chuckles. I took just one of my dad's hydros and ended up puking my guts out for hours. Guess I'm lucky that I can't keep them down. Cameron thinks about that, about how nice it would have been if he had become violently ill whenever he tried opioids or any drug for that matter. Yeah, I'd say that's some good luck. I quit in college and haven't done it since, though. Good for you! Brian gazes down his nose at Cameron, starting to frown. Cameron's ears twitch as he senses a sudden change in mood. Now, I don't mean to bring this up again, but did your visions get more intense when you did heroin? At first, Cameron wants to correct the bear and say that he's never done heroin, but then stops as he thinks back. Of course his visions got worse whenever he was on certain drugs, including opioids, but he had assumed back then that they were just agitating his already present illusions. Oh no, did he put fucking heroin in his tea? Oh no! It was only today that he made the connection between drug usage and hallucinations, or visions. Yeah, actually, a few times on the other stuff too. Does that happen to you? Definitely. Again, feelings of empathy grow in the coyote's chest. There are others like him, just like him. Maybe I'm not going crazy then. I keep going back and forth on that. Brian chuckles a bit. One second, y'all. Alright, y'all, we're back. Sorry about that. Kitty was being an annoying little kitty. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, not normal crazy anyway, right? Say. Brian looks carefully at Cameron again, and the coyote is almost distracted by the glow that seems to be emanating from the bear's eyes. Oddly enough, the intensely vivid and defined fur seems to be rippling, as if blowing in the wind, even though they're inside. Is this kava? You ever tried something more trippy, like acid or shrooms? Cameron shifts uncomfortably at the last word. Yeah, both. Acid was fine, but nothing weird happened. Shrooms just kind of fucked me up and I saw all kinds of things. That's too bad. That one can be a real eye-opener. Oh. Cameron isn't sure what else to say, feeling just a bit uncomfortable again. But yeah, most drugs make you see more things. Only ones that don't are stims. That's why so many people here got into meth. Brian chuckles again, but this time it sounds a bit dark, sinister even. Only problem is that meth still makes you see shit, but only because it makes you go crazy. Arches in half circles. Yeah. Cameron looks back down at the table. He wonders about his mother again, and if maybe she was like him. Maybe she took the stimulants because she was just trying to stop the visions, but ended up starting a wave of hallucinations and delusions instead. Cameron watches the wood grain on the table shift and move slightly like waves on an ocean. Huh. That wasn't kava root. And then it hits him. It hits him hard. The aftertaste of the tea, why it was familiar, why things are moving in inexplicable ways, why everything is feeling more fucked up by the second. He'd been here before. A moment seems to blank out of existence from Cameron's memory because the next thing he knows, he's already standing up, the chair sliding back behind him. He stares at Brian with wide eyes, mouth open, but he can't seem to say anything. He can't think of what to say if the bear did what he thinks he did. Brian stares back, watching Cameron carefully in a way that tells the coyote that the bear isn't surprised at all by his reaction, and that makes Cameron even more afraid. The cozy, dreamy lighting of the trailer becomes more ominous, red and dangerous, and the bear in front of him seems to warp. Oh god. Yep. Into a demon. No! No! What did you give me? Cameron looks wildly at the coffee mug. You need to calm down, understand? What did you give me? I think you already know the answer to that, so why don't you sit down and get it together? The bear's face is so warped that Cameron honestly can't tell if it's real or not. Was it psilocybin? Did you drug me with shrooms? Brian says nothing, but he's right that Cameron knows. He could never forget this feeling. Oh my god, why? It ruined my life! Cameron is heaving for breath, the sounds of his gasping almost drowning the bear out. Sit down and I'll explain. But Cameron has no intention of sitting down. Sensations and visuals are just as bad as the last time, if not worse, and he's only at the beginning. The fear and panic reach a dizzying level, and Cameron is running around the table for the door. And he's on his back, his chest, spine, and the back of his head aching. Brian is on top of him, and Cameron is on his back. He can see the coffee mug shatter on the ground a few feet away. Calm down! Remember what I said about depersonalization? The only thing you can do is not think about it. Otherwise, I'm gonna knock you out. Cameron struggles, wheezing for breath. Let me go! I can't breathe! Brian responds by squeezing his arms tighter, leaning more weight on Cameron's torso. Ugh, stop! I'm sorry! He doesn't even know what he's apologizing for, just hoping that maybe it'll get the bear to stop. Heh, I thought you were cute when you were smiling. That statement, for whatever reason, is the scariest part of what's happening right now. He starts to scream to the only person he can think of right now. Devon! Help me! Devon! Devon! Shut the fuck up! Brian sounds legitimately disgusted as he pulls himself off Cameron. The coyote prepares to scream again, but he sees Brian's foot lash out and kick him in the side, sending him up against the base of the counter. Then, leaning over him with both his giant paws on the edge of the counter, he starts kicking Cameron over and over. Oh my god. Cameron yelps and wheezes. The blow is hard enough that he's worried the bear is definitely going to break something if he hasn't already. He thrashes and rolls, trying to escape. Then one kick catches him particularly hard at the base of his sternum and he violently curls up, a loud for all that croaking sound escaping his throat. Brian pauses as the sounds continue emanating from Cameron's mouth. Cameron can hear the bear breathing heavily over him as Brian watches his agonized writhing, almost like he's fascinated by it. After nearly a minute, the terrible noises turn back to gasps, which then turn into sobs as Cameron stays curled up on his side, one arm around his midsection while the other is pressed over his eyes. Brian doesn't move, just watching as Cameron cries on the floor. First, Cameron thinks it might be better to just keep his eyes closed and try to disappear into the darkness. Maybe wake up again, but in a new place this time. Anywhere seems better than here. Oh, God. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna pause it right there. Oh, boy, how are they gonna get out of this one? I think Artie's already dead. Yeah, I think Artie's dead. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Trauma. Trauma, here we go. We're on the trauma train. Ain't no getting off this fucking ride until it crashes. Alright, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I love you all, and I shall see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!